Greetings. My name's Tom Rhodes. I'm an industrial chaplain working in the maritime industry, and I work for the Seamen's Church Institute in New York and New Jersey. Live in Baton Rouge with my wife Stacy, and she is an artist, and so I am an artist, and we live in a world of art. Our living room is full of paintings and jewelry making stuff. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you who use the art of knitting and have been for many years. That is such an important ministry because it really penetrates the hearts of our mariners and helps them to trust our Seamen's Church chaplains. And I'm so grateful for those of you who are making hats and scarves and sweaters and all the hours you're spending in doing that project. We've been doing it at Seamen's Church since 1898, the Spanish-American War, and we call it Christmas on the Sea, and it's directed by our great director, Joanne Bartosik. Along with hundreds of knitters this year, all over the world, over 16,000 articles will go to our seafarers and mariners, and this is a 21% increase even from last year, so we're doing a great job. But I do know that not all of us like to knit or can knit or crochet. My grandma was great at it. I wasn't. So I came up with this idea that we needed to make mariner prayer beads. And over the last few months, I have been kind of modifying, changing these prayer beads. And I'm calling them Anchored in Faith Seamen's Church Institute Living Compass Resilience Beads. I know that's a mouthful, but there's reasons for every one of those. The Anchored in Faith is the anchor. It is a non-religious symbol, and so a Muslim mariner or seafarer can find it meaningful, as well as a Christian or a Jewish or just whoever, non-religious, just mariners. And so I really like it that we came up with this symbol and this set of beads that we can give to our mariners. Beads have been used by almost all faith traditions throughout history. And not only can we use them to pray like the Catholic Rosary or the Anglican Rosary, we can also hold on to them when we are really suffering and hold on to faith. These are handmade beads with rocks, with stone, so they're weighty. We're not using glass, plastic, or wood, and they are substantial and pretty. I will be demonstrating in a moment how to make these beads. The language that we're using is maritime language. We're using language like resilience, which is the capacity to bounce back after suffering, or just to maintain focus even in the midst of stress. They can be made by schools. I would suggest older kids for sure, because they can be pretty tedious. Other nonprofit maritime groups, churches, other civic organizations. They can be made for mariners, seafarers, mariners' families, shoreside support people, and even for you. If you pray for our mariners, we have a mariner bead, a rough bead, as a second bead. Whenever I christen a boat or a vessel, or any of our Seamen's Church folk do, we usually read a psalm, and it's Psalm 107, and it goes like this. Some went down to the sea in ships, doing business on the mighty waters. They saw the deeds of the Lord, his wondrous works in the deep. For he commanded and raised the stormy wind, which lifted up the waves of the sea. They mounted up to heaven. They went down to the depths. Their courage melted away in their calamity. They reeled and staggered like drunkards and were at their wits' end. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them from their distress. He made the storm be still. He made the storm and waves go and were hushed. Then they were all glad because they had quiet, and he brought them to the safe haven that they desired. It is believed that the Anglican priest in the 1800s, William Whiting, was inspired by this psalm to write the hymn, Eternal Father, Strong to Save. It is currently used by most militaries and many times at funerals of dignitaries. It is said that he wrote this hymn after one of his students confided in him his terror at going across the ocean. Whiting said to the lad, "I will give you something to anchor your faith." My hope, our hope at SCI, is that these beads, making them and receiving them, will anchor our faith so that we can live out the words in Hebrews, like a firm and steady anchor for our souls. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for training on how to make these mariner beads. Okay.